Okay, last lesson of the year, area of a triangle. Let me show you where this general formula comes from, because you already learned in algebra, in geometry, or probably in like 6th grade, that area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. And so I can define the height in terms of sine, because if I look at this triangle and I want to define this line right here for height, I can say that the sine of angle A is equal to the height over side C. And so C times the sine of A is equal to the height. And then if I take that and I substitute it up here for height, I have A equals 1/2 BC sine A. So the only thing that is super important is that you have the information of side angle side, because notice that this angle A is between side C and side B. Now it doesn't actually matter which sides and angles you have, as long as the angle that's given is between the two sides. So then this works for any triangle. If I want to find the area, side angle side, it's 1/2 BC side A. A more common way to write it is 1/2 AB sine C. But it's true whether you write it as 1/2 AB sine C or 1/2 BC sine A, or you could write it as 1/2 AC sine B. So all you really need to know is that it's a side angle side problem, and the angle doesn't matter if it's C or A or B. Whatever angle you're using has to be between the two sides. And from there on out, it's just plug in the numbers to the formula. Now I can extend that same rule, and if you want to check out the proof, it's actually on page 490 of your book, and it's a pretty cool proof, but I'd have to take 3 slides to do it, so I'm not going to do it here for you. But they basically start off with 1/2 AB sine C, and ooh, I forgot my sign. And go through a lot of algebra to redefine the sine of C in terms of other sides of the triangle using law of cosines. So it's kind of a combination of law of sines and law of cosines. You can check it out on page 490. And they end up with the area being equal to S times S minus A times S minus B times S minus C. This is called Heron's formula. And S stands for 1/2 the perimeter. So let's look at an application problem. Let's say I had an area problem, and this was a 6, 3, and 4 inch triangle, and I wanted to find the area using Heron's formula. The first thing I would do is find the perimeter. Perimeter is 13. Then I would find half the perimeter. That's 13 halves. And then I would take the square root of half the perimeter, so that's called S, half the perimeter times half the perimeter minus 3 times half the perimeter minus 4 times half the perimeter minus 6. So that's going to be the square root of 13 halves times 3 halves times 5 halves times 1/2. And the bottom has a square root of 16, so we've got a 4 on the bottom. And on the top, those don't have anything in common. 13 times, really, I would just get out a calculator, except for I don't happen to have one. So 13 times 15, that's the square root of 195. So that's an example of Heron's formula. If you're given a side angle side situation where you have a triangle like this, let's say this is 5 and this is 8, and that's a 40-degree angle, and you want to find its area, it just area equals 1/2 of 5 times 8 times the sine of 40. Get your calculator, let it do the work. We are definitely getting down to the wire here for days left. So your assignment Wednesday is going to cover these area rules, and it's also going to review law of sines and law of cosines. And then we can talk about it, but we can take a test over this unit either on Friday or Wednesday, your choice. And whether you choose to do Friday or Wednesday will either leave you 1 day to review for the final or 2 days to review for the final. Everybody should have the final exam review packet, and we'll be taking our final exam on Tuesday of the last week of school. Seniors, everybody takes the final exam on the same day.